Everything we thought we knew about Silo 18 changes in Episode 5. For most of this season, it looked like the biggest danger came from political betrayals, secret murders, and the growing fight for control between judicial, supply, and IT. But this episode quietly reveals something far more terrifying. Hidden behind all the investigations is a crisis that could wipe out everyone in the silo, and the scariest part is that almost nobody knows it's happening. While everyone is busy fighting over power, the clock is already ticking toward a disaster that may be impossible to stop. And if you're as obsessed with uncovering the hidden secrets of Silo as I am, from shocking twists and hidden clues to theories and episode breakdowns every single week, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know your theories in the comments. I make every one of these videos myself, so your support genuinely helps the channel grow. And most importantly, subscribe if you would never volunteer to go outside and clean. Yeah, I didn't think so. Before we get into the biggest reveal, let's quickly recap where things stand. Sheriff Paul Billings is still trying to uncover the truth behind Orla's disappearance. Juliette's fate remains uncertain, and the people at the top of the silo are becoming increasingly consumed by politics instead of solving real problems. It feels like every faction believes they're protecting the future, but Episode 5 reveals that the future itself may already be slipping away, and one conversation between Paul and Carla completely changes how we look at everything that's happened this season. Carla McLain returning to her quarters only to find Paul waiting for her. He isn't there for a casual visit. He refuses to give up on Orla's disappearance because too many details simply don't make sense. At first, Carla assumes Orla is still missing. She has no idea that something much worse has happened. When Paul quietly tells her that Orla is dead, Carla is genuinely stunned. This isn't the reaction of someone pretending to be surprised. You can immediately see the guilt on her face as she begins wondering whether Orla died because of the investigation she was carrying out. Instead of answering Paul's questions directly, Carla decides to show him something very few people have ever seen. She takes him into critical supply, one of the most heavily protected areas in the entire silo. This is supposed to be humanity's emergency reserve, the place where vital equipment is stored for future generations. If something breaks, critical supply is where replacements come from. At least, that's what everyone believes. As the doors open, Paul expects to find shelves packed with decades of carefully preserved equipment. Instead, he finds rows of enormous iron cages sitting almost completely empty. It's one of the most haunting moments in the episode, because nothing has been smashed or forced open. There are no signs of a recent robbery. The supplies didn't disappear overnight. They vanished slowly over many years, while official inventory records continue telling everyone that everything was exactly where it should be. Carla explains that whoever orchestrated this didn't steal luxury items or valuables. They stole the equipment that keeps the silo alive. Among the missing supplies are thousands of industrial grow lights. Now, if you're watching this and thinking they're just bulbs, that's exactly what makes this reveal so clever. These aren't ordinary bulbs. Inside the silo, there is no natural sunlight. Every crop, every greenhouse, and every hydroponic farm depends entirely on artificial lighting. Those grow lights are artificial sunlight. Without them, food production doesn't slow down. It eventually stops altogether. That's when Carla delivers the most terrifying revelation in the episode. The farms are still producing food because the lights currently installed are still working, but every grow light has a limited lifespan. They all burn out eventually. Under normal circumstances, replacements would come from critical supply, except there are almost no replacements left. According to Carla's calculations, once the remaining lights begin failing, the silo has roughly 2 years before food production starts collapsing. That's not a rough guess based on fear. It's a practical estimate based on the replacement schedule and the supplies that should have been there but aren't. Think about how frightening that really is. Nobody's starving today. The markets still have food. People still wake up and go to work. Life appears completely normal, but hidden beneath that normal routine is a countdown that almost nobody knows exists. Every single day, the silo moves a little closer to a future where crops begin dying simply because there aren't enough working lights to keep them alive. Naturally, Paul asked why this hasn't been reported. Carla's answer is complicated, but understandable. She admits she kept the truth hidden because she believed telling everyone would create chaos long before the shortages actually arrived. Imagine announcing to thousands of frightened people that humanity's food supply has an expiration date. People would start hoarding immediately. Trust in the government would disappear overnight. Violence would likely erupt long before anyone actually missed a meal. From Carla's perspective, keeping the secret wasn't about protecting herself. It was about preventing panic. But now she realizes that keeping quiet may have cost someone their life. Carla explains that Orla wasn't chosen as her shadow because she was replacing her, despite what many people believed. Orla had actually been helping investigate unusual supply records. She was smart, careful, and persistent. The deeper she looked into shipping manifests and inventory reports, the closer she came to uncovering whoever had been diverting supplies for years. Looking back now, Carla believes that investigation may have made Orla a target. It's important to be careful here because the episode doesn't explicitly confirm that Orla was murdered over the stolen supplies. That's Carla's conclusion, based on the evidence she has. But considering the timing, it's difficult to ignore the possibility. An investigator starts uncovering one of the biggest conspiracies in the silo and then suddenly turns up dead. Whether that's coincidence or murder is exactly what Paul now has to determine. The next question is obvious. If decades' worth of critical supplies disappeared, where did they go? Carla believes the answer lies with the Harwoods. Again, this is where the episode separates evidence from certainty. Carla doesn't produce a confession or undeniable proof. Instead, she explains why the Harwoods have become her primary suspects. Glenda Harwood oversees the Porters Guild, the organization responsible for transporting supplies throughout the silo. Every shipment, every crate, and every delivery passes through that network. If someone wanted to quietly redirect equipment while falsifying records, the porters would be in the perfect position to do it. According to Carla, official manifests consistently show deliveries reaching critical supply, but the empty vault tells a different story. Somewhere between transportation and storage, thousands of vital supplies simply disappeared. Carla also believes the stolen equipment eventually made its way to the Deep, where mining operations are overseen by Ed Harwood. The Deep is isolated, difficult to monitor, and far away from the daily attention of judicial. If someone wanted to hide enormous quantities of equipment for years, there are few better places. One strong theory is that they're trying to reach a neighboring silo, possibly one that has been abandoned or still contains untouched supplies. If that's true, it completely changes how we view the Harwoods. Maybe they aren't stealing equipment simply for greed. Maybe they believe they're sacrificing today's resources to secure tomorrow's survival. That doesn't excuse Orla's death if they were involved. It doesn't justify decades of deception, but it does introduce a difficult moral question. What if the people breaking the law genuinely believe they're the only ones trying to save humanity? That's what makes episode 5 so compelling. Almost every major character believes they're protecting the silo. Carla protects a dangerous secret to prevent panic. Paul pursues the truth because he believes people deserve answers. The Harwoods, if the theory proves correct, may believe they're preparing an escape before it's too late. As the episode ends, Paul realizes this can no longer be treated as an ordinary criminal investigation. Charging into the mines could destroy evidence and ignite a civil conflict. Doing nothing allows the countdown to continue. For the first time, the greatest threat inside the silo isn't a political rival or a hidden murderer. It's time itself. And if Carla is right, every decision the people of Silo 18 make from this point forward will happen under the shadow of a clock that never stops ticking.